What's up?
Yo no soy
London, so wie du sehen während mein Mini. Latin very good London, didn't know much me too from the enemy. Always edge of high already.
Okay, well, good morning. I'm not sure. I thought I heard that guy say up dog girl, but I'm not sure. So what's up dog? Anyone have that answer? Bueller? Bueller? Okay, well, here we go. Let's just roll with it. Good morning, Keller Williams, Southern Arizona. I hope everyone's doing fantastic today. Hey, it's almost October and it's only going to be 100 degrees today. So way to go, guys. You made it. You made it to fall. Here we go. Let's do some bucket fills. Who's got buckets to fill this morning?
I do.
All right, lay it on me.
I don't know if you guys remember your former broker, Jody Cope, but she is very, very active in TAR and has actually been nominated as the president-elect for year after next. She'll be the president. So give her a round of applause. She really works hard on your behalf, doing legislation. She volunteers on so many committees, and she's just an outstanding person. So kudos to Jody.
Awesome. Love it. She's a nice lady. All right. Who else has buckets to fill? Scanning through here. All of you fine people ready to go this morning. Who else has got buckets to fill? Looking for, I see Sotelo driving. Who else? I'll fill a bucket since you guys aren't in the mood. I want to fill the bucket of the many staff members that poured their hearts out and their time down in Sierra Vista yesterday. We had a agent breakfast. So we had a lot of our staff down there, and it was just awesome to have everyone, have people that were able to meet Kayla and Cheyenne and really put some faces with some names, and I really appreciate that. Thanks, guys, for taking your time. Who else has a bucket to fill before we move forward? Any gratitude we want to express today?
I got a wonderful text this morning congratulating me, and I didn't even know why, from Jody Coach. So Jody Coach. So that was pretty cool. And then I realized why. Well, I found out. I looked at an email, found out why.
Okay. Do you want to share with us why?
No, he does not.
Okay.
I figured you guys would be doing that, so I didn't mention it.
All right, way to go. Good job. Way to go. Nice job, Cindy. Way to save it. All right, last call. Any other buckets we want to fill today? You guys are all looking great, by the way. I'll fill it. We've got the best looking agents of all time. So, all right, way to go. All right, let's move forward. Let's go to our vendor partnerships. So let's start with Catalina. I know I saw
Well, today right now is we're going to go into stats. We do appreciate all of our partners and Catalina. I saw Kathy on here, 210. We appreciate them all. Today, I just want to make sure we get some time to introduce our IntroLand. Very excited. So guys, this is going to be a soft intro right now. And you're going to meet Rich, and then you're going to hear more announcements coming on. And so, you know, we have heard a lot. You've seen it on the doors. Hasn't been really a quote official. You've seen Debbie Chop. By the way, Debbie, you are awesome. We appreciate you always being on here. And so we have our own in-house mortgage company that is owned by Keller Williams Southern Arizona and the agents. We're very excited about it. Cool thing about this model, and somebody take the screen off if you don't mind. So the cool thing about this model is that we allows us to partner with other mortgage companies in the area, not just feel like we have one marketing agreement with one mortgage company. We do have our champion lender is Fairway. That's why you've been seeing Debbie Chop. She's been doing a great job of being very present, getting the app downloaded. And so you're going to be hearing a lot about IntroLand and our partners. And we have one person that is running IntroLand. It's called a finance manager. His name is Rich Osborne, not Osborne like Ozzy Osbourne, Osborne with a U. See, Rich, I'm good. And so, and he is our finance manager. He is our mortgage go-to guy. So, and I see a lot of our people on the call that have been kind of, you know, involved in the evolution of this. And it's an app base, and we have about 4 or 5 partners, our champion lender being Fairway. And Rich is kind of that go-to guy as your center point for everything to do with mortgage. He's going to answer your questions. You know, some of the loans may stay, a refi may stay in-house with Rich. Partner outside if you want to use Fairway. And if you don't have somebody at Fairway that you use, you're going to call Debbie and you're going to say, hey, Debbie, who would be a good match for me to give it a shot? There's other lenders on there as well. Cardinal has stepped up. They got a pretty good relationship on a national level with IntroLand and some others. So if you have a lender, I see Chase on here. He did this last week. He recommended a guy he likes, and I gave him a call and said, talk to them about being one of our partners. So if there's somebody you like that you'd like to be a partner, give me a call. I call them up. I kind of give them the spiel. I've screwed it up enough times. I figured out actually how to explain it now and go forward. So I'm not going to really bore you on how to do it. I just want to introduce Rich, let you hear his voice. Some of y'all may have heard the name Becky. Rich, so you know, just to make your brain easy to comprehend, Rich did replace Becky. And Becky was wonderful. We just had an opportunity to be in business with Rich, and we honestly took advantage of it. And so without further ado, without going into too much explanation, I just want you to meet Rich, let him say a few things, and then you'll see us start getting on the calendar on how to download the app. And we're not going to do all that today. So Rich, you got the floor. Welcome, Rich, to our family, guys.
Thank you, sir. David, thank you. Hey, everyone. I know I've been fortunate enough to talk with many of you, emailed many of you, texted many of you, but I want to say I'm excited to be here. I've also met Debbie and have worked with her on a few things. So my wife and I recently relocated here from the Seattle market, which is also going kind of crazy real estate wise. So we've settled in I'm in Buckeye, and getting to know kind of the lay of the land here, but I've got many, many years in lending. I've actually worked within joint venture structures, helped set them up, marketing agreements. I understand the importance of communication. So I'm just excited with this model, being that it is agent owned. It is, believe me, unique in the industry. So just wanted to say hello. I'm going to actually be in Tucson next week, and maybe I can see some of you, and I'll stop by a couple of the offices with my mask on and say hello. And hopefully, if there's anything I can do to answer questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Like I say, I'm now up to speed. I feel the first couple of weeks I was kind of learning all the systems, but I'm definitely out of the gates running strong and here to help you and your clients any way I can. So thanks, David, for allowing me to have some time this morning. Appreciate it.
So guys, if you, it is an app-based product. In other words, it all starts through what we call a fast track through the app. Very easy to learn. Some of y'all are probably thinking, how do I do it? You can go to the App Store or your, what they call the Google Play Store, et cetera, and you can download something called IntroLend, Introduction to Lending. The idea is we partner with the partners in the industry around town. You can still use your buddy, your friend, the guy you like using, the gal you like using, and Rich becomes our finance manager. He still is involved. Challenges go on with that lender. They're working through our IntroLend system. Rich would still get involved. Hey, how can I help you out? Things like that. Our goal is Rich is the finance manager for IntroLend Arizona. And eventually as we grow, which we actually think we're going to be doing it sooner than later, is going to be adding a finance manager in Tucson physically that will actually work under Rich. So a lot of good things on the agenda. We're very excited about this platform. This does benefit profit sharing. Just let everybody know that this operation does contribute into our system, and that money gets shared back in profit share. So many benefits involved here. So we have the luxury of having an in-house thing that we have ownership of, and we get to use local partners at the same time. As I told the guys at IntroLend and a company called Avenue, that is a technology company that got this going, this is the perfect model for a Keller Williams, to be honest, is what I have determined. It's gotten, by this point, we've gotten through a lot of kinks, and Rich has learned how to use the system really well. So very excited. So once again, I know Debbie, you're on here, and thanks for being such a proactive advocate of this model. And I know you and Matt Kaiser have been working close. So Rich, welcome to the team. We'll be doing some more things as we come along and meet the team. And we can probably set up a time when you're here next week to also do a little meet and greet with anybody who would like to meet you as a central point. I think that's a good idea.
Yep, absolutely. I'll be there Wednesday and Thursday.
So, all right. Well, Kathy Fowler sent me a threatening text message just now, said I have a few things I wanted to cover. So Kathy, since you personally, go ahead. Kathy, go ahead as our Catalina rep. Go ahead, please.
It wasn't threatening, but thank you so much. Just one quick thing. I know that everyone, right now, because of the competition trying to get your buyers into homes, pretty much everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people are going with who is written on the listing. So if the listing says, please use Title Security / Catalina, whoever your escrow officer is, a lot of people are just choosing that, and we're losing a lot of the buyer deals over that kind of thing. So I just wanted to ask you all to please put us on the listings right now, so that you can still use your favorite escrow officer and title company. And that's it. Thanks for the quick time, David.
You bet. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate you messaging me. So, all right, Jays, back to you.
All right. We're going to pitch to Cindy for the announcement from the Listing Blitz. So Cindy Powell, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our All Partners meeting. It is my pleasure today to announce the winners of the Listing Blitz. Just to give you a little bit of the background, we went for 6 weeks, and we had several agents who focused on getting listings in their business and improving their command database. And so we had a point-based scale, and so we got all those points totaled up this week. And so let me just tell you, we took, out of this group, there were 7 listings taken. There were 6 purchase contracts written, and there was an overall 20%, about 20% increase in command database usage. And so we were really excited to see those things. So if you go to the next slide, I'll show you the first place winner for the Listing Blitz was Anthony Sotelo. Second place, Jody Koch, and third place, Stephanie Rojas. So if you see them, congratulate them. They are each going to receive a command ad gift card so that they can purchase command ads through Facebook for the command database. And then if you need to borrow some open house signs, Anthony Sotelo is going to get a couple of those and a new lockbox. And Jody's going to also get some open house signs and a new listing sign. So congratulations, guys. You worked hard. Thank you for going from E to P in your business and being purposeful about getting listings in our market. Congratulations.
Fantastic. All right. It is stats time. So Aaron, thanks so much for giving up your time and working with us. So take it away, Aaron.
Well, thank you. So first question out of the gate is what in the world's going on with real estate from everybody? This is my time to kind of listen. Go.
Inventory is still incredibly low. At least perceptually low, right? You know, I hear constantly in the hallways about people fighting for your buyers not getting the product because inventory is so low and so hot. That I'm hearing that. That's not just like an opinion. I'm hearing that constantly in the hallways with people. They're just fighting for their buyers. That's what I'm hearing, Aaron.
Yeah. Got the same thing. Anybody else?
I had a very interesting conversation with Danny Roth the other day. He called about a listing that we had multiple offers on. He and I had a discussion. We hit like 1,035 as our all-time low number of listings at some point a couple weeks ago. He said that that's probably going to lighten up a little bit because all of the Raytheon employees and all the Davis Monthan employees that were being transferred into the Tucson area have gotten here over the last 90 days.
Mm-hmm. Anything else that anybody seeing?
I have seen appraisals being all over the place and several of them coming in low.
Okay.
Lots of them coming in low, actually. I think if we took a poll of everybody on here, the escalation clauses are driving the prices way up to just unbelievable highs, and the appraisers aren't working with us on those.
How about type of purchases? Are we seeing cash?
A lot of cash, a lot of conventional with a lot of money down.
No such thing as contingencies?
No contingencies, no seller concessions, no, I'm going to say concessions of other kinds. You know, if you can't buy and close quick, sellers are going to find somebody that can.
Yeah. What else? Anybody else? Are you just waiting for me to kind of tell you what the numbers are and what things are happening on paper that happened 2 to 3 months ago? I'm trying to find out what's happening right now, guys. This is the time to kind of pour back in. Talk to me about what is happening right now.
We are experiencing a little bit of a shift.
Talk to me a little bit more about that and why you say that.
It's more just gut instinct, but the number of offers on a property are slowing down.
Exactly.
School has started, though it's still remote. Parents are focused on helping their kids get up and running on classes, whether it's grade school, high school, college. More people have gone back to work, so there are fewer people having, the time off to just go out and look for properties.
Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't say that we're seeing the indicators of a shift right now that I've seen from a statistical standpoint. What is one of the first couple indicators to keep an eye on to where a shift may happen?
I'm curious, Aaron, about the number of attendees to open houses. I've seen a drop in that.
Okay, well, then you might want to talk to Mark Obanoff. I don't know if he's on or not, but I know he had 22 people through his open house this last week. Or 21, I'm sorry, 22 including himself. But that's something but that's a very good question on what type of activities are actually working for buyers to come in. Anybody else? Go ahead.
We've had some great success at the open houses that we've been having. The first time we had an open house at our listing, we had 35 people show up, and the very last time, hosted by a different agent, had 9 groups of people come through. So I guess it really depends on the area and the way the home is presenting. That's attractive to a lot of buyers right now.
Can everybody agree that you just cannot Sunday morning wake up and go, I'm going to do an open house today, and just go to the open house and expect people to come through just because off of the signs on the side of the road. Open houses typically begin a week ahead of time. Marketing, circle prospecting, I don't care. There's so many different pieces of the equation that come into play to promote that particular listing. Because let's be honest, if you're sitting at an open house, what's your true intent? What is the overall intent?
Buyers.
There you go. The unfortunate thing is what? Buyers are at the disadvantage right now, am I right?
They have to find a really aggressive agent that understands negotiation skills and can produce the strongest offer for them possible.
I think right now, the packet that you guys have with stats, if you're able to educate that buyer ahead of time in the office, it saves time in your car. And I pretty much think that we all value our time. So if you do value your time, I would suggest that digging deep into some of these stats and being able to convey the message to them without just saying something, use this as leverage. Use this stuff as literally going, listen, this is why you're probably going to get beat out on your first 4 offers. Unless you listen to what I'm trying to tell you, and then therefore we can go forward with that. We've seen a little bit of a shift in the fact of a lot of homes can go under contract and the cancellation rates increasing. Now, there's not one answer to this. Obviously, bins or inspection, things that may be wrong with the property. However, I think there's a little bit of a soft spot to where buyers are just like, I just need to get under contract and then I'll figure out whether or not I really want the home. We've been experiencing a little bit of that right now. So just keep that in mind. So what I want to do is I want to kind of throw a little bit of a curve here. I'm going to bring up some stats, but they're the stats that were actually done at Mega Camp, if I remember right, that Gary Keller had produced, and it's actually national stats. So we're going to look at national and we're going to compare it to Tucson. Is that fair? All right. So let's go ahead and do that. So therefore, that being said, these are the stats that were done at Mega Camp by Gary Keller. So what do you guys notice about this particular slide right here? Because, well, before I ask the question, do you not think that unemployment would actually have a huge impact on whether or not somebody can purchase a property? Obviously, yes. Also, the lag effect of this could be if they lose their job, how are they going to make their house payment? Okay. That being said, what do you notice about these two different slides together? One is up pretty dramatically up to 14.7% unemployment. And back in the day, I'm going to say back in the day, when some of us were in real estate back in 2007, 8, 9, 10, et cetera, unemployment creeped up to 10% and slowly came back down to 7.5. What's the positive in this particular slide right here that you see?
That's going to drop faster?
There you go. It went from 14.7% to 8.4 in 4 months. Downward trajectory in unemployment. In other words, people are getting their jobs back. Statistically. Now, let's take a look at this and let's have a discussion around this, because this is a very interesting discussion when you start to look at this slide and the next slide. Unemployment and earnings. So this is the unemployment. 21.3% of the unemployment rate was actually due to individuals that were in leisure and hospitality. So, question for you is, how much of that do we have here in Tucson? You know?
A lot.
Okay. Compared to Vegas?
Not as much.
There you go. So therefore, what I'm looking at is I look at Vegas's stats and figure out what they're doing and how they're coping with some of this stuff, and then how it can kind of trickle back into Tucson as well. So when you look at this, 21.3%, that's literally 1 in 5 people that were laid off. Okay. That being said, financial activities, professional and business services, wholesale trade, construction, etc., manufacturing. The earnings, though, it's inverse. It's I don't want to say backwards, but those that are making the least amount of money have the most layoffs. Those that are making the most amount of money have the least amount of layoffs. So in other words, when you combine that with age right here, unemployment and housing by age. typically, statistically, there's not a good majority of people that own homes that are actually 24 or younger. Am I correct? The bulk of that is actually going to be over here in the 35 plus. Granted, we have quite a few that's in the 25 to 34 first-time home buyers. So that being said, what the message that is sent to me is more the fact that, you know what, it's really not, it's not impacting the real estate market as much as people thought. When you can't directly correlate it to real estate off of that one item, unemployment.
Lawrence Yun called it a K recovery. And in other words, the further to the left you are on that scale of job opportunities, they're higher paid, usually older, longer term professionals. So there is far less impact to the housing than would have been anticipated with the dramatic increase in unemployment.
Totally agree. You'll see a slide on here talking about that K recovery.
Okay.
In other words, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. I'll just call it what it is.
Right.
The way I interpret that. Okay. Gross domestic product, what is that? Somebody talk to me about what is that overall in a nutshell. I'm going to ask Tracy Castell.
It's the dollar amount that the nation produces in our production, manufacturing, transportation, all those different sectors.
So is
Real estate's in
GDP
there.
good or bad for the for our economy?
So repeat the question.
Is it good or bad? What you see, 31.7, is that good or bad?
That's bad.
Okay. So
My
I mean, so therefore, this is I think, what is this for the? I'm sorry, for second quarter. So we go ahead and take a look at it year over year. This is what we've had year over year. Gross domestic product annually. Right now, when you combine all the quarters, we're only down 6%. I say only, but this is going back to 1989. That has a huge impact on inflation here in the near future. Why do I talk about inflation? Because that's what's going to affect affordability. Home sales were up though. Year to date, they're down, but they're up. Home prices. This is an interesting slide right here as we see interest rates back in January at 3.62 compared to July at 3.02. I've always said we can't get too much lower. I mean, it can go lower, but it's pretty tough to go too much lower right now. So that being said, people are able to afford more property, or if they purchase a property today, and let's just say that the value of the property goes down and the interest rate goes up, that's directly going to impact our economy. Okay. Month supply of inventory. This is on a national basis. So therefore you're looking at a 3.1 right now for 2020. What is Tucson? Does anybody know?
About 1 month.
Bingo. So we're pretty much in the extreme on this category. So just keep that in mind, okay? When we get to our stats, we get into local condition. What's next? Remember we talked about the K-shaped recovery? These are not my words. These are just potential predictions on what's coming up. Low interest rates, basically maintaining. Incomes remaining stable. Sales are limited by low inventory. Are we not experiencing that at a pretty high level right now? Investment opportunity. Does anybody have or know individuals that have investment properties and potentially the renters not paying? That can have an impact later on if we don't watch it.
There was an announcement that came out yesterday. Pima County is offering $3.4 million to tenants and landlords to help anybody that's not making their rent.
So here's some positive news on that though. We can hear that, and that's great that there's a system in place for that. However, I did talk to a property manager the other day, and I think she may or may not be on the call, Rebecca Schulte. She's only got about 3 of her properties to where the tenant's not paying. That's actually pretty darn good. Okay. I think it also affects the type and the amount of rent that is being charged as well. So there could be a downward slide in that in the near future. Not right now, but in the near future, because there's a high demand for rentals right now. And there's a high demand to purchase right now. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to go ahead and get back to the other slide here. Good. Anybody have questions on that by chance? Okay. So talk to me about, again, listings that are going on in our area right now. What's happening with listings right now? And we'll get the slides up in just a second here. I just want to know what you guys are experiencing.
They're still going fast?
They're going fast? Are they going above asking price?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody have a stale listing that's been sitting on the market for a while? It's a yes or no question, guys.
No.
No.
All right. There's no problem with that. What about what's happening with pending sales?
They're taking longer to close. We're having a lot of delays because the appraisals are so log jammed that they're not able to get appraisals done in the required amount of time, and it's causing us to have to delay. We had probably 4 out of 6 of our closings over the last week or two that were delayed because of appraisals.
Okay. Anybody else having delay in appraisals or no? Okay. All right, well, I'm going to swap over to the...
I've had a delay in an appraisal.
Oh, did you?
I have one that was ordered in August and they still have not done it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am seeing a lot longer delay in appraisals. Some of them taking 3 weeks.
I will tell you right now, I don't want to be an appraiser in this kind of market. They're getting beat up on.
But they're also at this point picking and choosing the appraisals that they choose to do, and they're also demanding higher rates to get them done.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you know, I had an appraiser come talk during one of my team meetings, and that's the thing is the unique thing, and I just want you guys to hear this. We have the exact same data they have. If we have the exact same data they have, why are we having such a problem?
There's so many refis. There's like 60% of the transactions right now are refis.
Okay. The workload could be an issue trying to get in. Why are we having such issues with pricing when we have the same data? Let's be honest with ourselves.
Buyers are pushing the prices up.
Okay, there you go. And I'm gonna throw a little bit of a curve here. I don't think we're educating our sellers and our buyers enough to basically understand that basically the price is determined by the buyer and the seller. It's just that the appraiser is only going off the data that they are privileged to. They're doing their job. I think if we can educate, and we talk about this, when you go to list a property and sell it, quite candidly, you got to sell it twice. You got to sell it to the buyer, which is no problem in this market. Am I right? You can sell it all day long, almost for whatever price that you want. But then when an appraisal comes in, people get very emotional. So it's reminding them on the front end and being very stern with that. And then also during the process, letting them know that, hey, listen, you know, this is great. However, we're not in the clearing yet. So I think we have to educate the seller because they want as much money as possible. And obviously right now, that's, you know, there's a lot of buyers out there that, you know what, hey, I'll do whatever I gotta do to get in the house. There's other buyers that I'm not gonna pay a penny over appraised value. I get it. So I think it's just setting those expectations on the front end. So therefore you don't get emotional during the transaction, because anytime anybody gets emotional, what happens? Typically not good things, okay? So, everybody able to see the slide here? Am I good? Listings? Good. Okay. So therefore, again, these are stats from basically 45 days ago. This is what went on record about 30 to 45 days ago, this data. So we're down again in new listings. However, we've got 1,398 doors came on the market to sell. What I want you to remember that number, because when we get into what goes under contract, okay, or what's pending, it's going to tell us what direction our market is headed. Okay. Now, granted, there's going to be fallout. Granted, those items that are there, and then there's also a margin of error there that we have to understand that if it closed, it theoretically went under contract probably 30 to 45 days prior. So that data is actually another 30 to 45 days older. All this data is old. This is just old data. That's why I ask what you're feeling, what's going on, what is the market of the moment, because that's going to be the most impactful. Okay, but right now we're down 3.1% when it comes to single family resident. Townhouse condo is up. That's an interesting. Why do you guys think new listings with townhouse and condo are up while residential is down? There's no right or wrong answer here, but what's on your mind on why that would be?
Low inventory of the single family homes.
You know what, Teresa? I totally agree with you. There's just nothing out there. New home builders are not building the first time home buyer home, the majority of the builds, because the price point's too high. So if somebody wants a property and they want to get into a residence, they may have to revert to a townhouse condo because of the price point. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the fact that's just what it is right now. Okay.
There's also a huge increase in manufactured home sales.
Interesting. I haven't even tracked that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that makes sense because of the price point. The disadvantage to that is what? The lending is typically higher on that side. The interest rate. Pending sales. Okay, here we go. So pending is actually what's under contract, obviously. So therefore, one of the things I want you to kind of keep in mind right now is we have the highest amount of homes ever, let me repeat that, ever go under contract right now. So this is the part that stings a little bit. If your business is not robust, you're probably doing something wrong, because this is the highest ever. The amount of homes that went under contract, that's your unfair share that didn't happen. Now I'm going to get away from the negativity there. 1,484 homes went under contract. Is that more or less than the new listings that came on from last slide? This is what you had to remember.
More.
So what direction are we going in our inventory?
Still going down.
How the heck can we still be going down? See my point? Now, when we take a look at this, and we'll get into the closed transactions and also days on market and that stuff here. But here's the thing. How many of you are experiencing the homes that are on the market that are literally have been on the market more than a week? There's something wrong with it. And I don't want to use the term garbage or trash, or there's just something wrong with the property. And it could be a combination of things. It could be the condition. It could be the price. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
Go ahead.
I had 2 homes, Aaron, that what stopped us was they didn't get part of the home permitted for additions, or converted a garage into a studio with no permits. So it makes it difficult to sell.
Yep, there's struggles within the property itself. I can see that. Makes it tougher to sell. What advice do you have for a buyer right now? Somebody, I know Dave Urbaniak. Dave, you're on here. I saw you on earlier, so I'm calling you out. What would you be telling a buyer right now if you're having a consultation with them?
I like the meme that I saw about, remember how hard it was getting toilet paper back in March? It's like that now with a house. So I would make sure that they, you know, to advise them on having all of their ducks in a row, having the pre-qual letter, knowing their time frame, you know, removing any contingencies or any hesitation. And then I always think, you know, for me as an agent, it's big to just stay in contact with the listing agent to help, you know, complete the transaction. I don't know why more agents don't just call the listing agent and say, what does your seller want to get this done? You know, and push for trying to get your buyer to make that offer if they want it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I could just close this meeting right now because that was a plethora of information for you. So if you are not calling the listing agent to ask what that seller needs specifically, you're doing your client injustice. You just aren't doing it right.
I want to add this too, in this crazy time, you need to call multiple times. So maybe you called on a Friday and they said they have 4 offers in, and you say, I'm submitting my highest and best today. And then they say, we're going to review with the seller on Sunday. I call again Saturday and Sunday and go, how many new offers? What's the new highest and best? Are we still the highest and best? What, you know, what's the seller looking for? Because if you don't, you're going to just all of a sudden get an email on Monday saying the seller went in another direction, and your buyers are going to want to know why.
Or worst case scenario, you don't get an email at all.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you just find out that you missed it.
Yep, exactly.
Can I ask a question? So I have a neighbor that there's 3 houses in my area. I live off River Road, and their house, they put their house up for sale August 21st, and it's already closed.
Okay.
How did they get such a fast appraisal and close it so quickly?
Cash.
So do you think if another realtor buys a house, they have an advantage maybe?
I'd say yes. You know, it's an interesting topic that you bring up, because I think, let me rewind a little bit. I had a conversation with, and I don't know if the individual's on the call here today, but it's a philosophy that I think that we all need to we're in this business. We have an advantage. And if you don't think you have an advantage, you're mistaken. You are walking in on a listing appointment with somebody that potentially wants to sell their home, and you have literally first shot at potentially buying that property, but you don't list it and then buy it. You buy it prior to listing, and that's a broker conversation. However, here's the thing: there's a lot of buyers out there, specifically with COVID, that don't want people through their home. They don't want to be dealing with all of the laundry that we have to deal with, or they have to deal with. Doing an open house, people going through the home, messing up the floor, possibly leaving the back door open.
There were a ton of people that came through this house.
Mm-hmm. And rightfully so.
It was listed at $460 and they sold it at $416.
There you go. Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah, that is a big difference. That doesn't help the list price to sales price ratio, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The seller got what they wanted. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep.
So,
and they were in a hurry to move. They were moving back to Florida. So.
And let's think about this. The buyer got what they wanted too, didn't they?
Exactly. Because they paid $385 in 2016.
So what do? We're almost a hurdle sometimes.
Yeah.
Think about that a little bit. That's all I say is try to keep the emotion out of it and allow the buyer and seller to kind of, explain their situations, because motivation is different for everybody. Every single transaction has a different type of motivation that's involved. And you have 2 sides. You have the buyer and the seller. And we tend to complicate it by bringing agents into it, and then we get emotional. Stop. Get the emotion out. Cool? All right. So pending sales, highest ever. Boom. Closed sales. Well, it's not the highest ever, but we have a higher fallout rate. So if we only sold 1,100 homes in the month of August, and we have 1,400 that are pending, that's interesting. That's almost about a 20, 25% fallout rate. So therefore, that is what I was talking about earlier. We're seeing homes that go under contract, and then in our minds, we're like, you know what? Hey, the type of market that we're in, no big deal. We just put it right back on the market. It'll sell again. Okay, so that's what we're starting to see is that higher fallout rate, but the homes are still selling.
I think a lot of that fallout rate's due to not appraising too.
There's a plethora of them. Not appraising, you know what?
Loss of jobs.
Yeah. Buyer job loss, not transferring out to Tucson, maybe. You know, and here's the thing, it's not across the board on. It's segmented into the pricing brackets as well. So keep that in mind too. Days on market. Well, by gosh, I think that's the lowest that we've seen. 29 days on market. So that's no surprise to everybody. Am I right? Who remembers the time frame when you were able to list a property and it took about 4 to 5 months to sell? I will say right now that I think that 3 to 4 months right now would be fantastic. I would love to get back to that level, to be honest with you. It's more of a balanced market. It's, but right now, I think it's putting a lot of buyers out of the market to purchase. And what I mean by that is FHA, VA buyers, because cash is king, And if somebody's moving from, let's just say California, anybody know what a 1031 exchange is? So if you don't, 1031 exchange is literally they're selling their property in another location, wherever, and they are taking the proceeds and putting them down on the new property that they're purchasing to escape the taxes on it, on the capital gains. So here's my question to you. If they don't abide by the 1031 exchange rules, then they get taxed. So if you're moving from California, and let's just do a scenario here, and you're selling a property for $600,000, and you look at the prices of property here in Tucson, you probably pick one up that's the equivalent of probably about $300,000. Now, they've got equity that's built in. They come in, they put an offer on the home. They have a time frame they have to purchase by, or they have to pay the taxes. Do you think they really care if they're paying a little bit more than the list price? Because they're saving it in taxes. Think about that. That's what a VA buyer, that's what a first-time home buyer, that's what FHA buyers, USDA loans, I don't know if you guys know what that is, that's what they're competing against. That's exactly what they're competing against. Are people that are willing to offer above list price, depending on the amount, depends on the motivation, so they can get the property. They're in a totally different environment, moving to a totally different environment and taking advantage of it, and you can't blame them. That's something to educate your buyer on. Cool.
Well, and that's really pronounced anything under 300, especially under 200. That happens so much.
Okay. Do me, Brandon, thank you for bringing that up. Are you speaking from experience there, from what you've experienced, or what?
Absolutely. I've got a few buyers that we've had a struggle getting offers accepted just because the cash offers are there in that price point where it's so competitive.
Okay. That reminded me of a conversation I had with a lender the other day, a very well-known lender, very experienced. I was talking about refis. And I think Sean Edgar just mentioned earlier about refis being on the rise, obviously, because we're at historic lows. There's a lot of people that are doing refis. And I asked them, I said, hey, what's your thought on, 4 years, 5 years from now on the refi market? I mean, it's literally going to dry up and done, because if interest rates go up just a little bit, or they even stay the same, why are they going to refi in 5 years from now? So therefore, doesn't that impact your industry? And it's an interesting response that I got. It was, Americans lack the financial intelligence. The majority of households lack financial intelligence. They've got a gift handed to them right now. It's whether they take advantage of that. So fast forward 3 to 5 years, yes, their payment is lower. They're paying more towards equity every single month, which isn't putting money into their pocket. It's actually lowering the principal on their property, but they look at that going, oh man, my home's worth 350, and you know what? I've paid down to 200. I've got $150,000 that I could basically go in and do a home equity line of credit or refi at a higher interest rate and get the money out because they've been delinquent on their credit cards. That's the story of our country historically. It's kind of sad because they haven't understood the financials on the front end. They're using their house like a credit card or potentially as a credit card in the future. That's the danger of what is happening right now. So just think about that a little bit. You can financially set yourself up, or you could set things up to be a disaster later on too. Get both arenas squared away and you'll be good to go, okay? So median sales price, this is pretty exciting. Highest ever. That's the highest ever. The part that concerns me though are the last 3 months at how fast the prices have increased. Do you guys see that over here on the right-hand side, just from right there? That's what's happened during COVID here. Interesting. Due to what? Supply, demand? There is no supply. The demand is high. What happens to prices? It's like common sense. So therefore, that's why they're gobbling up. It doesn't say how many of these are financed, how many are cash. But cash is coming out of nowhere. So hey, Brandon, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, are you an agent or you're a lender?
Agent.
Okay, good. All right. So then my question to you is, if somebody is an investor, or let's just use investor, why would they pay cash when the interest rates are so low? When you take advantage of the interest rates? So why are they coming in with cash? You don't have to have the answer, but why do you think?
Cash gets an accepted offer.
Do you think that maybe they can go right back and say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and refi this property now?
Yeah, I had an investor client do just that a few weeks ago.
That's literally, I want that aha to kind of open up right there. They may be buying cash right now, but go ahead and do a refi on the property. So they're able to use the leverage of that money to do other things with it. So just keep that in mind. All right. Average sales price, very similar to the last slide as you saw. It is the highest ever as well. But what we also see, it's in conjunction with the median sales price that has increased up 21%. Is that sustainable? The answer is yes or no, and the answer is actually no, it's not sustainable. Why is it not sustainable? Because it's beating inflation. Job growth rate is not happening at the same percentage. Your income has not increased 21%. I don't care where you're at job-wise, the probability of it increasing 21% in a year is quite substantial. So it won't be able to keep up, is what I'm getting at. Does that make sense to everybody? Cool. Percent of list price received. So this is where I talked about the list price to sales price ratio. You list a property for 200,000, and if we are literally sitting at 99.5%, what should it theoretically sell for if you're just looking at stats? 200,000, 99.5%, somebody. I love the awkward silence, but I'll sit here all day.
What can you restate the question, Aaron?
If you've got a $200,000,
$198,000.
thank you. If you got a $200,000 property, and all of the properties in Tucson are actually selling at 99.5% of the list price, theoretically it would sell for, what was that again? 198? 199?
198, 199, probably 198.5.
So therefore, what you're looking at is that's where you talk to a buyer that wants to come in at $5,000 below ask price. You show them the stats. I'll do whatever you want me to do. However, I want you to understand that the probability is going to be very low that you're going to get this property. How do you want me to continue? Sometimes buyers need to feel the pain too, though, don't they? The sad part is sometimes you're putting your best foot forward and it's still not good enough because there's restrictions on the buyer because of, you know, type of lending or whatever. They don't have enough money. They need the closing costs paid for, etc. So, done. All right. What am I at here? Affordability index. So if you take a look at this one right here, we're pretty darn stable for the last year and a half when it comes to affordability. And that's also due to an increase in the price of the homes and the decrease in the interest rates. But it's also going off of whatever their occupation is and how much income they have coming in monthly or annually as well. So, but we've been stable, which is very affordable to live in Tucson. If you were to look at this chart in pretty much anywhere in California, pretty much almost anywhere else in the United States or big cities, this is a totally different looking chart. The affordability isn't there. The majority of their income goes into their housing. That's not quite the case here. That's probably why we see a lot of snowbirds that come in. That's probably why we see as a retirement community, etc. So this is actually one of the indicators kind of showing where your money is going that you earn. Inventory homes for sale, or inventory of homes for sale, I'm sorry. No shock here. However, we are at the lowest amount of homes on the market. We are literally at the lowest. Now, here's my concern. We dropped almost 260 homes last month alone, and we're down almost 50% of our inventory. Even if we doubled our inventory right now, if we doubled the inventory to 2,400 homes on the market, as you see back up here, we are still in an extreme seller's market. Still. Now that right there should tell you something about why prices over the last 3 months have shot up through the roof. And I see no end in sight for prices to increase because we have no inventory on the resale piece. Now, I'd like to have a discussion on this because I think we've done a darn good job as agents, or the internet has, or whatever, but to individuals that own properties that end up moving. So to give you an example, I had a phone call from a longtime client the other day, called me and goes, hey, I want your advice on something. I got a home that's in Marana, I got a home that's in Vail, and I'm moving to Las Vegas. Should I sell my home? The one that he's currently living in Marana, and by answering the question right out of the gate would be very unprofessional. I think what we have to do is we have to dig deep and find out what his intent is on those properties. What does the cash flow look like today? What does it look like to sell the property? Most people go to, oh, well, your home's worth, I don't know, $350,000 and you owe $250. You're going to take $100K. Good to go. That's the end of the conversation. Continue the conversation. And I think we've done a good job at this going, well, it's interesting. I know, what is your mortgage right now? It's $1,300. Okay. It looks like your rental rate up in that area is around $1,700. So now you got cash flow of $500 going into your pocket and you just did a refi? Oh, that's pretty fantastic because now you have more going towards your principal. But when do you need the property? When do you need the funds out of the property is the question. These are the deep conversations I think that we need to be having instead of, oh, your home's worth this much. Don't you want to sell? Because what do you think that individual is going to do if he decides to rent and purchase out into another location and you were the one that helped him bring wealth into his world? How dedicated do you think that individual is to you? And how do you think the referral bank is going to look? Quite substantial. So I say, have the conversation, go deep on this. Don't just give answers to where it may benefit you in the short term, because it'll actually probably benefit you in the long term. Okay, but we're at the lowest amount of inventory that's out there. That's resale though. We're going to get to the new home sale stats in just a moment. Month supply of inventory. Well, this is no shocker. If you don't have any inventory, I think the month supply of inventory is going to be extremely low too, especially when we have our pendings that are up. So an indicator to go down again next month. So if you think it's tough getting into a home now, yeah, you're probably going to be experiencing that for a good time to come until we have the inventory that comes on the market. Positive though, what months typically slow down in the amount of sales? Give me 2 months that typically slow down.
November and December.
Okay, and what is the primary reason for that?
Mainly because of the holidays.
Okay, I totally agree with that. I don't want to put the house on the market because, you know what, it's Thanksgiving, you got family coming to town, there's so many different excuses. However, when you can show the stats that, look, there's nothing on the market, dude. If you need to sell, and if you're going to wait until January, just like everybody else, that's going to be your competition also. But right now, we have a direct view. We know what your competition is, and it's basically nothing on the market. Would you rather list a property that has no homes active in a subdivision, or that have 5? I think we don't want the competition because we're able to dictate what we can do. We're a lot more in control on the listing side if there's nothing to compare it to. Again, we're going to fight the appraisal, but that's one of those things to kind of take a look at. Put your client in the driver's seat. And if you have the listing, you are in the driver's seat. But again, we're at 1 month of inventory. If there's anything that stands out here, I want you to take a look at 1 month of inventory. And again, even if this doubled, we're literally looking at 2 months of inventory. That's still an extreme seller's market. A balanced market is 5 to 7 months of inventory. 5 to 7, and we're at 1.
And that's an average across the entire market. If you start looking at stuff under 150 or under 200,000, there are some areas that there's like a week's worth of inventory.
That doesn't become 1 month, it becomes 1 minute.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. I get it. So we just have to position our business to take advantage of the market. Okay.
I had something interesting come up. I have 3 buyers coming to town in November because they're not celebrating Thanksgiving this year.
Interesting.
They said our family doesn't want to get together because of COVID, so we're going to come and buy a house. So that's something I've never seen.
That's interesting. But you know what? Doesn't surprise me. Heck, I think we can all agree nothing can surprise us in 2020 anymore. And you know what? Tomorrow is what? October 1st? We only got 90 days left in October, so make the most of it. But you're right. There's nothing that's going to surprise me right now. I don't see things slowing down in October. Matter of fact, I'll say this. October is our team's best month ever right now. It's insane. So things are not slowing down. It's just how are you grabbing the market share that you deserve. Cool. All residential properties. So this is kind of a recap. If you take a look at this, we're taking a look at what 19% increase. Median sales price 12.8%. What is inflation rate? About what percentage annually is the norm?
2 to 3%.
Okay, so as that delay was there, it kind of tells me a couple things. It tells me that maybe people don't understand what inflation rate is and how it affects the pricing of homes. I'm going to go to Tracy Castell because I know this guy knows this stuff inside and out. We talk about it quite often. Tracy, what is inflation rate? All right, Tracy may not be on the call. If somebody else want to talk to me about what inflation rate is.
Increase of cost of goods being sold.
Cost of goods. Okay, so that's pretty much everything. If the cost of gas goes up, if the cost of everything goes up, to include housing.
Where it affects people most is food.
Yeah, food. So you're basically maintaining, and so therefore, if your income doesn't increase the same amount as inflation increases, you're actually going backwards. So that's why if you have investments and you put your money in the mattress, it's earning 0%, but you're actually losing 2 to 3%, depending on what inflation does. So that's why when you have investments, you've got to beat the inflation rate, period. That's the whole objective of that. The higher, the better, obviously. So therefore, and we're sitting at the potential value in the property at 12 to 18%, depending on if you're looking at median or average. That's unsustainable. It just really is. As you see, days on market decreased. That's a no-brainer. Pending sales have increased. So that's showing you into the future on what's going to be happening, because those pending are probably, a good majority of those are going to turn into what? Closings. Now, if we have the same 20% dropout rate, we're at 1,700. 20% off of that is you're literally looking at what? 1,300, 1,400 again? And this last month was 1,300 to 1,400, but we don't have that many that are coming on. Make sense? So that's the crystal ball that I see right there. And again, this is interesting down here. So, new home sales. Are we good with that? Move on to that. All right. Let me get my slides out here. So, I don't know if you guys can't see that on the slide. It is highlighted. So I'm going to go ahead and read it here. I'm going to read some of the stuff that I highlighted, and then you guys use these stats as you wish. Kayla, did you happen to email this out to everybody, or where does this go for everybody to download? Or anybody in staff?
They posted it in the chat box.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, so take this stuff and utilize it for your clients. Study it, done, and then just convey it. New home permits were up for the month. Okay, so let me ask a question. Anthony Sotelo is not on. Shelly Laster, you on, girl?
Yes, I am.
What are new home permits? What are they? Let's just be very blunt with it. What are they?
It is the builder forecasting more sales.
Okay.
And building more homes.
That's a great way to explain it. In other words, they've already done all their research. They've already done everything that they wanted to do, and they're basically betting on they're going to be making money on building a specific home on this lot. Am I correct?
Correct.
So are builders in this business to lose money or make money? I think we know the answer
Definitely
to that.
to make money.
So therefore, do you not think that they're getting a pretty good gauge on what's happening with the market ahead of time? And they've got a pretty good deep pockets to kind of evaluate where they want to buy land, where they want to go ahead and subdivide, what size of lots, what type of product that they want to produce, etc.
Yes.
They have departments that do this. Lean on the shoulders of some of these builders when you start to see what's happening with the market and what direction they're going and what products are selling and why they're selling, so you can cater your business to the type of buyer that is actually wanting to purchase that product. That's why it's detrimental to understand the different products that these builders are producing. So permits are a lead indicator on closings. But prior to that, they're going to be a lead indicator on pending properties that turn into closings. So if we have, here's my question to you, and let's just go with the general public. Well, heck, I'm just going to use agents. So Shelly, can I use you as an example again?
Sure.
Okay. Do you know, like, hey, you know what? Today, that builder over there off of these cross streets, they have 20 permits that they just turned in. Do you even know that by looking at the land lot that's there, or why does that even matter?
Meaning if you're on site, you can see what they're grading, what they're working towards. Is that what
So
you're
you just
talking
drive
about?
by and you look over and like, okay, there's a sign there. And there's basically no starting excavation. They're just starting to turn up the land.
Mhm.
If they've got 50 permits versus 10 permits, what does that mean to the homeowners in that area?
That means that there's more buyers looking, I guess, in that area than there are listings to sell.
That's exactly where I'm going. So no, they've already done the research that there's a demand for buyers in that area. Probably at the price point, probably off the product that they're trying to deliver.
Correct.
So
I think a lot of it is property that's available to them to buy too.
There you go. And that's good. That's the first step in the process, isn't it? They have to buy the land first, and then when they buy the land, then they put the product on the land, and then they basically sell it. It's just that simple. What's going on with prices of lumber right now?
It's going up.
Okay, dramatically. What does that do to profitability for a new home builder?
Reduces it.
There you go. So therefore, we're at a point right now with some builders, they don't want to release any more lots until they figure this out, because there was a big article talking about where they're looking at opening up tariffs from Canada to send in lumber down here because we cannot get it fast enough. That's a good thing for the lumber industry. That's a bad thing when it comes to the consumer trying to buy a product that literally is costing more now. The profits are lower. So therefore, of course, a builder doesn't want to go in and say, hey, let's go ahead and build a home and we're going to sell it for a loss. They have to keep it up, but here's the problem. Appraisals.
Right.
They're not understanding. They don't see that side of it because the data's not there yet. Does that make sense? That's literally where we're at with two different builders right now that have actually ceased building on permits. However, the permits are there. The intent to build is already set in stone. It's already ahead of time. Okay. New home closings, on the other hand, declined. I'll use that word again, declined by almost 10% from the same month last year, but showed the new home closing number was affected by the onset of COVID-19. When the builders either shut down their offices or retooled their sales online and appointment-based sales. So bottom line, pent-up demand in the new home sales industry. So if you stop building or you slow down building when there's also a demand, all it does is create more demand. And that's literally what we're working through right now. So they changed their format, and I don't know why they did this, but every single time I get these slides, they're all different almost every single month. However, this one right here is talking about the perspective is everything. We examined the track of housing activity in the Tucson housing market in the graphics below. If we were to look at the month-by-month permit, closings and resale activity plus a 6-month moving average trend line on the parameter. So what I say is take a look at the trend line and what we see. This is that pent-up demand. Basically, they stopped permits. I won't say stop. They slowed down dramatically. You see that? And then what did they do? Everything's okay. We have the demand for it. Let's build it right back up again. This is the one that's interesting. Permits slowed down in August. The question is, from a builder standpoint, are they overbuilding? That's the first question. Now, how does that affect jobs? If you don't have permits, permits turn into homes. And if you don't have homes, people don't have jobs to go to the construction site on. Think about that a little bit. Closings have been pretty much stable on the new home closing month by month. So they anticipate the new home closings in November and December will be more robust as the permit activity in June, July becomes completed for new homes. So they are predicting that there's no slowdown in November and December, which historically typically happens in the resale market. What are we also entering into when it comes to new home builders fiscal year? When does that typically end?
November.
Okay, there we go. Why does that matter?
Because they want to hurry up and close.
Oh. I would not be surprised if we see a little bit of a tick down in pricing as long as but if the demand is there, they don't have to because they're trying to get it off of their books. So if they're trying to do that and the demand is there, that's actually where they're making their profit. Because here's the thing, if a new home builder were to lower price, that becomes their next comp, which means they're doing appraisals on a declining market if you have 2 to 3 homes in a row or consecutively that the pricing goes down. The last thing a builder wants to do is do that type of action. They'd rather do it in what? One of 2 things. Incentives and co-op.
Lot premiums.
Yep, lot premium, that's a good one. Yeah, don't get me started on lot premiums because here's the deal. Can you buy a house without the lot?
No.
Interesting. But then again, I think it's just it's a sales, I don't want to say tactic, but it's a way to feel good about your purchase because you got the home at a cheaper rate, even though your lot was 80 grand. Combine the 2, that's what price you pay. Obviously, we know that. Okay.
Aaron, I just was going to make an observation. There have been a lot more new home builders putting spec homes up on MLS on the hot sheet the last week or 10 days. And I find that interesting. If there's so much demand for new homes, why are they not selling them before they're finished?
Let me ask you this. I'm going to use the resale analogy. Has anybody ever done an open house and well, this home doesn't really quite fit your needs, but we have others? Very similar analogy with the new home sales. If they are trying to do whatever they can do to get people through the door, just like we do with an open house, we do whatever we can do to get people through the door to have the conversation. I think that may be something that they're doing, you know? So this slide here, resale activity. Resale activity, we just covered the resale stats, as you saw. But what I want to do is kind of focus our attention down here on the bottom half, which is with all of the national publicity and conversation about new home prices and the impacts on recent increases in the affordability segment of the marketplace. We're prepared to see some significant changes in home prices in August in the Tucson market. What do you mean by that? Stormy, what do you think by that? What kind of changes do you think they're predicting?
I'm sorry about that. Say that again.
Okay. I was asking, what do you think that they are trying to predict? They're saying that the changes in home prices in August in the Tucson market, some significant changes.
Mm-hmm. I think the prices are going to go down.
Okay. Well, what makes you say that? Neither right, wrong, or indifferent. Doesn't matter. Why do you say that?
The only reason that my guess is that is because of the record highs, right? If it goes up, it's got to come down.
Okay.
That's it.
I think the only time it's going to be able to come down is when our demand tapers off. If you have people that are still wanting to purchase, there's really no reason to lower the price. That's just my take. You know, will the market shift? I totally think it will. You asked my opinion, and it's only as good as for what it's worth. I'm looking at third quarter 2021 because my opinion is, yes, we have an election that's going on. Until they figure out exactly what policies, regardless of what president takes place, those effects won't be seen until the spring, summer time frame. We work through that, then it becomes, okay, this is what it is. And I think by then is when we're going to probably start to experience something that we're not comfortable with if we're not prepared. That's just me. So I see this continuing for the next, 6, 8, 12 months or 6, 8 months, and then just really paying attention to it. So just all I say is keep your eye on this stuff.
And to support that crystal ball analysis, Aaron, the chairman of the Federal Reserve has made it very clear that he has no intention of raising interest rates anytime soon.
True that. That's a very true statement. So they, again, two different charts that you see here. One is the Tucson area resale average and the median prices. We already had this in our other stats. They do have a dot graph. I'm not too fond of the dot graph at the very bottom, but it kind of shows where each one of the homes sold for in the price range that they're in for the month. So the majority of homes that you see that were sold in new home pricing was above the 250 and below the 350 mark. 250 to 350 is where the majority of homes were sold. I went back, oh goodness, I should have put this slide in here. I went back to 2009. I went, as I say, I should probably look for it real fast. In this, I ran stats. I showed the team this earlier this last week. When we're talking about price point and we're talking about volume of homes being sold, it was literally from January 1st to November, I think 15th in Tucson, everything that was 250 and below. You gotta remember 250 was basically a luxury item back then, okay? The amount of volume that the highest agent in Tucson sold was just over 6 million for the year. That's it. We have agents that are far surpassing that currently right now. So in other words, the activity was low, the pricing was low, the demand was low, and it was a totally different market. So what we're seeing right now with the increase in pricing actually helps increase commissions, which actually helps you what? It puts more money into your pocket, theoretically. I think this is the last slide here. As everyone in the new home housing market in Tucson is aware, the completion among major builders active in the marketplace is quite intense. So I would really, really get out there and find out what each one of these builders is trying to promote. You as an agent have the biggest voice when it comes to what buyers are looking for. So to give you an example, if you start to, and we're in the kind of market right now, let's talk about, I'm going to use VA as an example. Would you not think that some VA buyers are getting beat out of the market? Okay.
Yes, they are.
Why? Why do you think they're getting beat out of the market?
They need help with concessions in most cases.
Okay.
And sellers are worried about repairs that might be needed.
Okay.
They're not even offering VA.
So let me put my new home sales hat on. I'm a new home sales. I'm working for new home sales as a builder. What can I offer to somebody that needs some of these things? What can I do? I can increase concessions. You know what I'm saying? What else can I do?
Well, if they use your lender, then they have no closing costs typically, and so they pay for all of those. They also offer, many builders offer an incentive to VA buyers of $1,000 off of something. It's a great place to take VA buyers because the builders will work with them all day long.
So I'll give you an example of what Vegas was doing for a little while. Even though we're at historic lows right now, they would actually go in and buy a block of loan, basically to where, hey, the first year, your loan is at 0.99% interest rate. Second year, it's at, I don't know, 2.25. Third year and beyond, your fixed rate at a 3.25. Think about that a little bit on when it comes to affordability on the front end. For somebody that's, i.e. military, that moves every 3 to 5 years. They got the advantage. They're actually paying down more towards principal on the very front end at a very, very low rate that nobody else can touch. It's giving these new home builders an insight of what the buyers literally looking for? Did we not go through a phase of the new generation homes, the way you have the master bedroom downstairs with, you know, the kitchenette and all that other stuff, and then you have another section of the house, so you're basically buying two different homes? That was a trend that we went through. Now it's basically detached or attached guest home, because we got to look at what type of buyer, what are the buyers looking for right now? Are they looking for more space? Are they looking for, you know, what's going on in the community? Or they want more land? What is it? You're the front line on this. Have these conversations with these builders so they can build the product that the consumer wants. That make sense? Well, cool. All right. Anybody else have anything whatsoever? Actually, let me go back. Top 3 home builders for permits. Permits are who? D.R. Horton, Meritage, and Richmond. That's where the homes are going to be built. It might be in your best interest to find out where. And if you don't know where, these are the top subdivisions that permits are at. Where is this first one at? That Valhalla Estates. Where's that at?
Passing Casino
Southwest.
del Sol.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
Passing Casino del Sol, like 2-3 miles.
Are we talking west side?
Yes.
All right.
Valhalla is west side. West side.
That's the highest location where growth is going right now. That's where is the Saguaro Bloom? Mesquite.
In the saddle just past the Tucson Mountains, dropping into Marana.
Northwest.
Entrada del Rio? Where's that? I actually don't know. Where is that at? Anybody know?
No idea.
That might be something for somebody to Google. And go visit that site. Because that's where they're building the third amount of permits that are going to be going in to where they're going to be selling. So if nobody on this call, I don't know how many people are on it right now, but here's the thing. That might be in your best interest to go find out where it is, what kind of product they're delivering, and basically you are what? You're the individual with the information. Okay? All right.
That's Sahuarita.
Sarita. Yeah, they're spinning up quite healthy right now. They're actually very interesting now. So, what else we got? Any words of wisdom? Anything else that we have there? Any questions? Any concerns?
You know, I just want to add that I haven't been here in Tucson for very long, just since 2016. And I'm coming originally from California, like Thousand Oaks, Westlake area. I don't know if anybody knows where that is, in Santa Barbara. And then I moved here from Hawaii, and I'd been there for about 12 years. Tucson and Arizona is still super affordable for people coming from the West Coast and those areas. And there are a lot of people I know from Hawaii that buy homes in Arizona and then have a home in Hawaii also. I'm still learning how to tap into all that. But it's still, even with the prices, the housing prices going up a little bit, they're still super affordable.
True. And that's the advantage that we have, and that's probably us explaining that exact same thing. And then, you know, Cindy, here's the thing. You've experienced that. So it's justified, if that makes sense. You know, sometimes when we tell our story, that's literally the biggest impact on people.
Yeah, because I mean, a house here that, like, I paid, this house that I live in now, it was listed for $550 at one time. I got it for $400, and it's on an acre, has a pool and a separate guest house, all that kind of stuff. In California, if you were to buy the same house, it would cost you probably $850 or more.
Yep.
So that's huge for.
And you know what, Cindy, when you're looking at, let's just say demographically, when you have people that are entering retirement stages and they're in an area like that, they're like, you know what, I want to be a little bit more reserved. If I get the same kind of size home in Arizona for half the price, and I don't have to have a mortgage on it. Now, all of that money that I was spending on a mortgage now goes into my spending account to do whatever I want with. It's a security. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
I get it. And that, you know what? That's what's beating out a lot of the different buyers that want to buy a home. Specifically, if you're looking for anything under 200,000, good luck. And if you get it, congratulations, high five yourself. And the client should definitely be, you know, ecstatic about being able to get it.
Well, so that's probably like a condo or a townhouse here.
Correct.
And that's the things that investors want. They want those so they can rent them out.
Yeah. And you know what? And I can go back to, you know, years ago to where I remember the time when there was, you know, the same property today that's 200,000 was just under 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Totally different market, you know, totally different market that we're in. So, good. Well, hey, I just want to let you guys know too, don't know if you're interested or not, but it is an in-person class later this afternoon. I'm doing a profit first analogy or profit first class here at KLP. Seating is limited due to COVID restrictions and the social distancing, but it will not be on Zoom. It will actually be in person. So if you're interested in that philosophy, I will tell you right now, it has literally changed my business tenfold. I was talking with another individual that implemented about a year ago, and he's like, dude, it just brought in so much clarity into my business that I couldn't see myself. I don't know why this wasn't taught right out of the gate with real estate, but anyhow.
What time is that, Aaron?
It's at 1:30, and the link is actually on the chat right now. So I've got no problem kind of discussing some of the struggles that I had getting established, some of the things I did, but I will never go back to it. And not only that, but I implemented it in my own personal life as well when it comes to financials. So great tool. So anyhow.
All right, guys. We appreciate it. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate it so much. You guys have a fantastic day. We'll talk to you soon.
Peace out.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, bye.